Good morning, welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. It's Thursday, we're one day closer to hopefully winning the league title up in Dundee, but Dundee United players have said that they do not want to party on their patch. I've already said I think the scoreline will be around about 3 or 4-0, looking at past results that Dundee United have had at home recently. They've been on the side of some big defeats, 3 and 4s against them, whilst they have been winning by the odd one goal away from home. When it comes to playing up at Dundee United, they haven't been all that clever the last couple of months, but we move on from it. There is a crazy headline, and I want to talk about Jota as well. Whilst the Sevconians across the city are taking as much media space as they can to try and feel relevant between now and the end of the season, there's an ex-Celtic coach who has been named as a potential next Celtic manager, which I think is crazy, or is it? But before that, we'll look at the league title. We'll look at the league table, and Dundee United do have everything to play for. Celtic are on 81 points as it stands. Sevco are on 66 points. Terrible number that, isn't it? And then Hibernian are on 53. Imagine the season that Hibernian have had so far. For being ranked rotten and bottom of the table for so long alongside Hearts, they've managed to get themselves up to third position. It's turned out to be a fantastic season for Hibernian, but close on the chase with them is Dundee United and Aberdeen, both on 50 points. It's been an absolutely terrible end to the season for Aberdeen as a team. And a supporter base must be thinking, how come we came so close for half a season to pushing Celtic, but you don't get anything for winning pushing close for half a season, or coming second for that matter of fact in Scottish football. And then you've got St Mirren. And St Mirren are in the weird position and being on 41 points when in the relegation zone of the table, the bottom six, there's quite a few clubs on 40 points. And I think it's time that this is addressed again. It's something that I've spoken about before, and I think that when teams can finish above the sixth team place with more points, it's doing them out of money. But that's a talk for another day, and who cares, because it's all about Celtic winning the league this weekend, isn't it? Anyway, back to the next Celtic manager potential. Whilst across the road they're talking about getting in Jose Mourinho for under £2 million, which I think is absolutely phenomenal, considering Fenerbahce are owed the manager £25 million if they sack him. But Rangers think that they're going to get Jose Mourinho for under £2 million. With that being said, Celtic has been named as a club for Damien Duff to be a potential next manager. Is that a crazy, crazy thought? Or is it the fact that it's just someone trying to make a name for themselves in the paper? Damien Duff could manage Celtic or Chelsea, an ex-teammate said. Really? Celtic? Could Damien Duff manage Celtic? He's done fine at the club he's at. But winning the league on the last day of the season and getting the team to their first league in 18 years is all fantastic in the lower leagues. But could he make the jump? And some Celtic fans out there will say, look, some of our wingers haven't been performing since Damien Duff has left. If you look at the way they were performing under Ange Postecoglou, they just aren't as good, some may say. Ange Postecoglou did a great job with Celtic, but you look at the background that he had. He had a history of winning things. Brendan Rodgers had a history of turning teams around and making them better. He got close with Liverpool to almost winning the title in England. And you'll say, well, but that's also Rans. If it wasn't for Slippy G slipping, Brendan Rodgers might have won the title with Liverpool. But he got the Celtic job. And he's doing fantastically well at Celtic. Is it too early to be talking about new managers at Celtic? Especially when Brendan Rodgers does have the 1 year left in his contract, and there's a possibility that he may sign an extension to that contract this year. I just think is it a crazy story, Damien Duff? What do you think in the comments? He's been tipped to make a stunning return to Parkhead as manager. I'm not too sure about that. I don't think, would that be a step backwards? Would that be a step backwards, like the Ronnie Dyla appointment? Would it be a manager that would get fans packing out the stadium again? Or would it be a Ronnie Dyla type appointment? Or would he get the backing because he's Irish? And maybe that comes into it. But I'm not too sure. I think that it's a conversation that doesn't have to be had right now because we're in the throes of winning the title. And when we win the title this weekend, it'll be the last thing that we're thinking about because we still have the Scottish Cup to play for. Yes, there is still the Scottish Cup to play for, but tonight we will talk about the league and the team. I think that Brendan Rodgers will stick to the same team that he has had out the last couple of weeks. And that means a start for James Forrest. And James Forrest is a player that has much love by Jota. Jota excuse me, reckons that his teammate is well worth a listen to, having watched the winger spend more than a decade, just winning things at Celtic. James Forrest turns 34 in the summer, and he brings the curtain down on a 16 years at Celtic. That's legendary stuff. We are watching legends play at Celtic, and I don't say that lightly. When we all grew up, we all knew about the legends that were the Lisbon Lions, and I'm going to put James Forrest up there because he's been here. He's been at Celtic for 16 years, and I think he's been one of those players that no matter who's came in, Forrest will get just that little bit closer. That little bitch, Barry Ferguson. I've just seen something pop up on my screen, and it's an unbelievable claim by South Koreans. And who cares about them? James Forrest will just clear of Bobby Lennox in one of the top winners' medals. I think that Bobby Lennox will look at James Forrest and say, "Son, you're a player that could have played in our team." Could James Forrest, if he was around at that time, would he have got into the Lisbon Lions? I think of course he would. The fact that the longevity of James Forrest, the fact that he's been here and done it for so long, should be applauded. Some people say, "Oh, when James Forrest comes on, it's James Forrest still to this day, at 34-year-old, is one of the best wingers that we have." And that's saying something. And it's no wonder that Jota is saying to the rest of his teammates, "Look, this guy might be coming into the twilight of his career, but you need to listen." Having spent so long winning things at Celtic, you can learn a thing or two from players like James Forrest. You know, he might be the older chap in the dressing room now, which is crazy to think because we all think of wee James Forrest as just wee James Forrest that's just come into the team. But 16 years down the line, and he's been around Celtic a lot longer than so-called stars that have come into the club. He's only 33, said Jota. I said, I didn't think so. I thought he was 22. I don't see him as being 33. The way that he acts and the way that he runs about the pitch, you would still think he was 22. It's a credit to James that he's had a fantastic career. And I think that, you know, Celtic need to do something with James so that he's remembered and he stays. For one, I hope that James Forrest stays at the club after he hangs up his boots. He's a player that deserves to be on the coaching staff. I think that players and younger people coming through the team, I mean, I would get James Forrest and the B team coach all day long, because he can tell people what it's like to be at Celtic for so long. He can tell players, he can tell these younger players on what to expect and how to get into the first team and how to stay into the first team. And even when somebody comes in and tries to take your position, you know, don't let your head down. Don't think, oh fuck it, I'm just going to move somewhere else to get some game time. Don't think like that. Just keep on working hard every single day and you'll get your reward. And you look at the trophies and medals that James Forrest has won over the year. It's a credit to James. The medals speak for himself. You know, the smile on his face every time. There's not a single person in the dressing room, says Jota, that we just try to drink from his wisdom, he says. And let's be part of his journey. Because this is James Forrest's journey. And players that come in and players that are here this season and next season and whenever James decides to hang up his boots, they're part of the James Forrest story. Their own little piece of their time at Celtic will pretty much become irrelevant in years to come. They won't be spoken about like the legends that are the Lisbon Lions and people like Paul McStay and Tommy Burns. I'm putting James Forrest right up there. You might not agree with me. Tell me in the comments if you do. But I certainly do. I think he's just as he's a hero to many, many people, just like Tommy Burns, just like Paul McStay. To me, Roy Aitken, Bobby Lennox, Henrik Larsson. He outlasted Henrik Larsson at Celtic. There's a lot of personalities at Celtic, and there's going to be a lot of personalities needed to go into the game this weekend. You can learn a lot from James Forrest, says Jota. He hardly portrays an image of a grizzly old-timer, does he? His life, a varied, experienced life at Celtic. And you think about that, and you think about what we're about to achieve by winning the title this weekend for the 55th time. Not only just winning the title, but winning it in style, and then going on to the final games of the season and putting on performances and just making the fans happy as we head into the Scottish Cup final. And if we can win the Scottish Cup final, winning another treble to be the club's 9th treble in history. Well, the UK media may say that it's just a treble. It's the worst treble in history. You can only beat who you can beat. And if that's Rangers in whatever form that they come, so be it. We've won more trophies since Rangers come back into the league than when they were out it. And that being said, have an absolutely fantastic day. Join us tonight, 8 p.m. Celtic part-time, and make sure that you get your 4 in a row champions t-shirt. There's first link, it's in the description of. You're a bit late for getting it for this weekend, but if we win the league this weekend, you can get it for next week. Anyway, make sure you join us for 8 p.m. Celtic part-time tonight, where we will talk about all the players that will be involved this weekend. And where does Brendan Rodgers start bringing in some of these youth players from the B team? And how does he integrate them into the team? And who ultimately does he drop from the bench to allow these players to come in? Because if he wants to be a manager that's going to be reckoned with and remembered through history of Celtic, winning trebles is fine, but bringing through young players that are going to be the next generation of Celtic players is where managers are really remembered. And on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.